Hi, hello. My name is Lucero Calderon from Mexico, Excélsior newspaper. Hi, sir. How are you?
Hi, Lucero.
Yes, the meaning is like a star, like Venus in the sky, a star, bright.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hi, Lucero. How you doing?
I'm thrilled. I'm excited. So, sir, thank you very much for your time. I was reading that this movie is part of your ADN because you grew up with with West Side Story. So
Yes.
I want to know, how do you feel right now, and what can you tell to the people that maybe didn't believe that Spielberg, a musical movie? Come on, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that it's that it's not true that an old dog cannot learn new tricks, uh, um, because I've sort of proved to myself over the years. I've always wanted to tell a story with song, dance, and performance. And West Side Story has been my favorite musical for my entire life since I heard the original Broadway cast album when I was only 10 years old in 1957. And it was just a matter of time before I worked up the courage or the nerve to go to the different estates, including Stephen Sondheim himself, who wrote the lyrics to West Side Story, to ask their permission if I could make my West Side Story based not on the 61 movie, but based on the original 1957 Broadway play. So it was just a matter of time before I got the courage to be able to ask for the permission to do that.
Sure. And I want to know, for you, how was, you have made a lot of things in the industry, but for you working, with this kind of musical, with the movements of the camera, how was for you as a director, introducing yourself in this complexity world?
Well, the complexity is what's beautiful about the musical genre. I wanted the camera to be a dancer. I wanted the camera not to be an observer from the outside of the story or the dance or the movement. I wanted the camera to be inside the movement as part of the dances. And so it was a tremendous opportunity to basically insert myself. By the way, I cannot dance a step. I'm a terrible dancer. In school, I couldn't even waltz. I couldn't even slow dance. I was terrible. But I have a dancer's heart. And I think I've got a good dancer's eyes. So I kind of knew where the camera should go, even though I can't dance to save my life. But I felt that this was a banquet. West Side Story was giving me an opportunity to be able to express what I do in a different way than I've ever done before.
Sure. And talking about the topics of the movie, I think that nothing has changed since that 1957 until today, because I think that this is maybe an allegory about, racism, division, and there is a interesting phrase in the movie that says something like that Ringo kills everything. So I
Yes.
want to know your opinion about that, about the situations that are putting in the movie, the political and all that.
Well, this country's always been divided. It was divided. It was divided during the Civil War, and we never quite came back together again after the Civil War. There was Reconstruction after the Civil War, but we never really came back together as one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There's not been liberty and justice for all, and there hasn't been. But in 1957, when these four geniuses, Arthur Lawrence, who wrote the book, and Jerome Robbins, who conceived a West Side Story based on Romeo and Juliet, and he was a choreographer, and Leonard Bernstein with the music, and Stephen Sondheim with the lyrics. They were dealing with street gangs in a division in neighborhoods. But today, the division between people and ideologies is much deeper and much wider than it was in 1957. And the author of the screenplay, Tony Kushner, and we both felt that this film's time has come again, that the messages are more important today than they even were in 1957, to talk about division based on racial prejudice, and also about love across this huge divide. And love, in fact, is the theme of the story. If everybody loved, we would not have these divisions. And you have Maria and Tony who are madly in love, but she's Puerto Rican and he's kind of Polish American. She's a migrant and he's an immigrant, third, fourth generation immigrant. And they have bridged the divide because love has brought them together. No one else has.
Sure. And tell me, Stephen, you are going to celebrate, if I'm not wrong, 70 years this December. Is that right?
Yes, you're right.
Congrats. And I
Thank
want
you.
to know, how do you see yourself, from that young man that began in the industry with dreams, with a lot of ideas in his mind, to the man that we have today, that it's turning 75 in a couple of years, in a couple of days.
Weeks.
So how do you see yourself right now?
I see myself as only getting younger. So, and I really sort of mean that, age is just an opinion that you have of yourself. And I've never really thought much about age. I've as long as I have energy and good health, thank God, and a very solid, wonderful family. I have 7 kids. I have 5 grandchildren, a 6th grandchild on the way next year.
Wow.
That keeps me young. My kids keep me relevant. My kids tell me all the things that I don't know about because I'm not on social media and they are. So that sort of keeps me a little bit ageless, even though I know I'm getting older. I'm almost 3/4 of a century, but I don't feel 75 years old at all.
You have the attitude, and that's great.
Yeah, kind of that, and a feeling that, telling stories is more important than blowing out, so many candles on a birthday cake.
And that's great. And what do you think when people say that you are one of the most important movie makers in all this time?
Well, thank you. But I always feel that, all of us of my generation, film directors and filmmakers of my generation, and also the younger generations, all of us stand on the shoulders of real giant, influences. And so my influences all come from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, the directors that really keep me interested in making movies and telling stories, because I see a lot of movies. And that continues to that's sort of my fuel. That's my, or if you're interested in the electric car, that's my battery power, is watching a lot of movies that keep me interested in wanting to tell my own stories. So we all stand on the shoulders of somebody else, and I'm standing on a lot of giant shoulders.
Amazing. And Stephen, now talking about your cast, you have Rita Moreno, that he was one of the original actress. And what can you tell me about her, and also about Ansel and the rest of the cast? That it's amazing.
Well, most of my cast are new. Most of my cast, Rachel Zegler, who's never acted before except in high school plays. I cast her to play Maria when she was 17 years old. She enjoyed her 18th birthday on the set of West Side Story while shooting, and I'm so proud of her. She's my latest discovery. And Ansel, a lot of people know Ansel who see movies, but this was a big break for Ansel. He's always been a wonderful singer, but nobody really discovered him as a singer until he showed us what he was capable of, and it was amazing. And and everybody, Ariana DeBose is a trained Broadway dancer. She was in the original cast of Hamilton. She played Donna Summer on Broadway, got a Tony nomination for that. And she wasn't a veteran yet. She was also a newbie, as we'd like to say. But Rita Moreno was the veteran. Rita Moreno was the veteran. She lived the pure New Yorker experience. And she kind of brought my whole cast together. And she talked to my cast during rehearsals. And she talked about the great division between the Puerto Rican community of migrants coming here and not being considered Americans when in fact they were confused about whether they were Americans or not. She spoke about this eloquently. And she was a real guiding light. And she gave and she's turning 90 on the 11th of December. And she actually feels younger than me right now.
Amazing. And maybe my last question, because I want to chat with you a lot. Next year, E.T. is going to turn 40 years since the release. So
40.
yeah, it's my year's birth. Yeah. So for me, it's very special because I was born in that year. So
Right.
what do you think about how what ET means in your career, and how special is that this movie turns 40 years?
Well, E.T., you remember, E.T. was about 400 years old when he landed in Elliot's backyard. Uh, 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 but ET, has been in our lives for 40 years. I love that. I think that's great. ET was a huge event in my life because working with those kids made me want to have kids. Remember, I was not married and I didn't have any children when I made ET in 1981, but my first child was born in 1985, 3 years after the film opened. And I really feel that E.T. was the first experience I ever had, sort of being a dad, an on-set dad to those kids, and a kind of more than an on-set dad with Drew Barrymore, who I kind of took under my wing after the film was over. And that movie gave me the great desire to have my own children. So I've always given E.T. credit for that.
Oh, so sweet. Stephen, thank you very much for your time. A big pleasure chatting with you. And
it was a great pleasure chatting with you, too.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
good luck with the movie. I know that it's going to be a hit.
Thank you. Gracias.
Gracias. Buen día. Chao.